Hello and welcome to the Under Center podcast. I'm your host, Daragh, and I'm joined just by Jake Bullhead today. Fionn has extended his holidays. Mysteriously enough, we got the text straight after the Washington game finished on Sunday, which was interesting time, and to say the least, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost booked the holiday myself after watching the Giants play, but that's a whole different story altogether. But I still think it's to do with Fionn's contract dispute. I don't think he's gotten through that. He's still a bit aggravated that we don't want to offer him any money whatsoever.
I hope you weren't booking tickets to LA for the Super Bowl in February, because after that game on Sunday, I think the Giants may just miss out on it this year.
That's the ultimate surprise, isn't it? We lose the first game for the past 5 years every year, and now this is the year we finally go to the Super Bowl.
That could be it. Like, this. It's only 1 week.
The Giants are definitely going to go to the Super Bowl. Like, they'll probably go watch it. They might buy a few tickets for themselves. The organization might get it, but they're certainly not playing in
it. Well, they could be all on the boat together like they were a couple of years ago. But since Odell's not there anymore, I don't know whose boat they're going to use.
I don't even know if it was Odell's boat. I think they just rented a boat. I'm sure Kenny Galladay has a boat. You could certainly afford one.
Definitely with that contract, yeah, for sure. He can definitely afford one. But all in all, Jake, was it a good weekend for you, though, even watching the other games, despite obviously the hardship of the Giants game?
Look, it's hard to be a Giants fan just in general for the past 10 years. So it is great to have football back. I love watching football. I love just being around football and hearing football on the background. And it was good because I started watching on the Sunday at 6 o'clock. I wasn't disappointed until 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was fine. I mean, I got 3 hours of happiness and another 3 hours of sadness. So.
Well, that's the beauty of the Giants being in the late slate of games, I guess. Your disappointment doesn't start until 1 a.m. rather than 9:30, where it normally would happen.
And the greatest thing about this week is we play Thursday, and that means my disappointment is on Thursday, and then I have Sunday off free.
Guilt-free on Sunday. So that means you just sit back and enjoy and collect all those winnings from various bets, I'm sure, which actually is a nice little segue, because we are going to have a new portion of the show. It'll be a YouTube exclusive. So make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page, Under Center Podcast, where each week we are going to do a short little video about how you can sort of beat the bookies, maybe give you a couple of odds that we think can make you a bit of money this coming game week. We'll try our best. I wasn't successful last week. Jake, believe you had a win.
I had a little cheeky win for myself there. Paddy Power offering a nice little bonus for doing a bet on the Chiefs-Browns game. I had a cheeky little bet. I had the Browns plus 5.5. If any of you remember, I said the Browns would win. That was my shock of the week. They were close. They didn't get it, but my bet came true, and that's most important of all to me. I had the Browns plus 5.5. Travis Kelce to score anytime, and the over at 50.5, and that came true. It was a nice little bonus to my week, but I did then lose it immediately on the Ravens game. So, well, can't win them all. It's playing with house money.
That was well, to be fair, that's a guilt-free bet, because that's money that you had already won. That was already your money. You didn't have to worry about it. It's kind of, that's you're saying, betting with house money. It's no lose. It's okay.
Yeah, just keep going. I mean, if I keep losing house money, eventually I'm going to have to dip into my own pocket, though.
Well, hopefully not. And you know how to bet responsibly, because that's one thing that we certainly encourage here on the Under Center podcast. So this week, obviously, it is the first week down of the NFL season, 1 week through. So this is the week where everyone is going to overreact so much to everything that has happened. Because the Texans are going to go to the Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers are going to have the number 1 pick in the draft next year. All these things are happening after just one slate of games. So we said, instead of going through every game individually, we've come up with a few topics, from a few talking points from the games this past weekend. And we're going to not talk about all of them, and we're not even going to decide what we are going to talk about. We're going to let something else decide, and that is the big wheel of topics, name to be changed at a later date when I come up with a
No,
better one. I
like the
promise.
big wheel of topics. All hail the wheel of topics.
The big wheel of topics. So let's get straight into it, and we'll show you what sort of topics could be up for discussion here today. So as you can see here on the screen, we have various things. MV Russ. We're going to talk a little bit about Russell Wilson. Is Aaron Rodgers finished? Washington beating themselves again. I think that was by Fionn texting, and still want to be part of the show, even though he's not part of the show. So we'll see if that comes out. Is Urban Meyer out of his depth after just one game in the NFL? We couldn't. Should the Falcons have drafted a quarterback? That's something interesting, because that goes back to a topic that, Jake, you spoke about a lot in the offseason as well, because you were adamant that this team should be completely transformed and completely done from the ground up and started all over again. So we'll see. So let's get into it. Let's spin the wheel and let's see who is going to come out first. Where's it going to stop? Urban Meyer out of his depth. So let's get into it. The Jacksonville Jaguars had the start to the season that, well, I guess, would nobody see it coming? Maybe apart from Fionn, who really doesn't like Urban Meyer. But, they went down 37-21 to the Texans on Sunday. Trevor Lawrence in his first NFL game struggled. He was a true 3 interceptions but also true 3 touchdowns. So an interesting game for Trevor. Jake, what do you think after one game in the NFL, everything that's happened in the off season? Is this just a recipe for disaster now with Urban Meyer?
I think everybody kind of just said it was going to be a recipe from disaster from the very beginning, because Urban Meyer, well, we all know he's used to starting off quite hot and quite strong. How is he going to handle a week 1 loss? He certainly didn't handle a lot of the offseason well. I mean, hiring the coordinator, then hiring Tim Tebow, and then giving this fake Minshew versus Lawrence battle, which obviously you're going to start your number 1 overall pick and not the guy you are eventually going to trade to the Eagles. The game itself, I mean, there was a few bright spots. Lawrence, he's a rookie. He's going to have rookie mistakes. Some of them weren't great by all means. He should have seen some of the lads coming across the field there and not thrown an interception maybe, but I don't know. You would think, being a generational talent that everybody said he might uplift the team, but maybe that coaching and roster just isn't strong enough to be able to lift up.
Yeah, it's definitely moving away from the offensive side. The defensive side, defense that really, really struggled against a mediocre offense with the Texans. Cooks, who he does have a few highlight plays in him, but is not a consistent starting wide receiver. You can see why he's been sort of there for one season at the Rams, one season at the Patriots, and at the Saints as well. So it is difficult. Look, that's it. Trevor Lawrence is. Everyone's expecting the sun, moon, and the stars from him just because he was the, obvious number 1 overall pick. And, you have to remember that the jump from college to NFL is massive. So it's going to take a while for him to bed in. This season should just be down as a learning curve. But, the report that came out just before the season started, that Urban Meyer has become unhinged at times, and players aren't really taking to his tactics, I think is starting to bear fruit a little bit. It was interesting because I don't know if you noticed it with the Hard Knocks episode that featured the Jaguars preseason game against the Cowboys. At the end of it, you could hear on the mic with Mike McCarthy and Urban Meyer talking, and Mike was saying, "Oh, how you getting on? You know, it's a lot different to college." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't have to check up on grades. I don't have to make sure they're attending classes. I have a lot of free time, and it's all just football." And is that maybe making him think too much about things? Is like, is he checking too much on his players, making sure they're doing the right things? Is he sort of micromanaging them maybe a little too much in his staff as well? That could be an issue that maybe he's going to have to realize, that you've got to lay off that these are men, these are professionals. You have to sort of give them that bit of trust that they're going to do the right things when they're not in the facility, that they're going to, eat the right foods, or, not go to the wrong places. But Jake, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. You can start to see some of that kind of stuff, behavior creep in, I suppose. He's obviously used to having to, as you said, take care of these players, making sure they're going to class. But these men now are men, and they're not boys, and they're millionaires, and they're in a facility that is worth millions. Not that the college isn't, but again, this is the NFL, so it's one step again above that. So I don't know. I was never a fan of the Urban Meyer hire, and I thought that was a bit mad. But I don't know. What can you say about him? We're just gonna have to wait. It is week 1. We're all overreacting to it, but the reality is we're gonna have to wait another 16 more weeks, 17 more weeks, to see what he's really like. I mean, he's probably not aiming for a winning season, or at least he shouldn't be. It will be interesting for us to see how he comes out of this and how he rallies his players up. The one thing I did like about him in this game particularly was he left Lawrence out there all game, even when the game was out of hand. You have to get your rookie QB to take those lumps. He's losing the game. He threw 3 interceptions. He didn't help his team, but he still has to go finish the end of the game. So I liked that I thought that was a good decision.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Jake, especially he does have to keep him out there. He has to make sure that he goes through all these plays, get that experience for Lawrence for going forward, for sure. But to be fair, it's not going to get much easier for them, because next up they face the Denver Broncos at home, so it's not going to get any easier. And Von Miller coming in, and you're saying he's going to get he had to get a few bumps against the Texans. I'm sure he's going to get a lot more against Von Miller, and if Bradley Chubb is fit on the other side as well. So it could be another difficult afternoon incoming for Trevor Lawrence and co. But look, let's go back to the wheel. Let's go to where
Hail the wheel.
The big wheel of topics we are going back to. And I realized that you actually couldn't see the wheel the first time. Hopefully we fixed that issue here now. But let's have a quick look at this. Let me just get it here. Should be able to see it. We are back. Perfect.
The wheel.
The wheel is back.
The big wheel of topics.
So let's go. Let's spin this wheel and let's find out what is our next topic to talk about. Ooh, Urban Meyer's back again. So
do him again.
we're gonna have to. I think we've talked enough about Urban Meyer for one evening. So let's leave that. Let's go back to the wheel. Spin one more time.
Oh, hail the wheel.
Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Yes. Is Aaron Rodgers finished? I know the headline probably is a little too dramatic, but we're looking at it in terms of they're just off a 38-3 loss to the New Orleans Saints, the Drew Brees-less New Orleans Saints, the Jameis Winston New Orleans Saints, the Jameis Winston New Orleans Saints who threw for 150 yards and still had 5 touchdowns. How that's you don't even understand how that could happen. So most of the time, but it was field position, because if it wasn't a pick, it was it was field position from the punt. But Rodgers really, really struggled. He had 15 of 28 for 135 yards and 2 interceptions. Now, there was a theory going around Twitter after this game, and I know you're laughing because you know what it is already.
I was hoping this would be brought up.
That Aaron Rodgers is doing the ultimate sort of inside job where he's destroying the Packers from inside by purposely playing badly. I don't necessarily believe that, but it was a tough afternoon on Sunday for Aaron and co.
It certainly was. It didn't look great at all. It was just bad all around. I don't think the Packers defense knew how to defend or how to block or how to run or do anything. It just looked horrific defensively. And then you can't even mention the offense. I mean, you're supposed to be like last year's MVP winner. He throws 2 interceptions in the first game. Maybe missing some of that training camp might have affected him more than he thought he was. He is getting up there in years, so maybe it did. It was certainly hard to watch. Sitting through that game as a Packers fan must have been excruciatingly painful. For me as a Giants fan, which we might get onto at some point, it was hard to watch against the Broncos team. But you have an MVP in Aaron Rodgers. You don't have Daniel Jones, so like you should be hurting a little bit more than I was. That was just hard to watch though. I don't know where the problem lay. I would love to believe it is an intentional tank job by Aaron Rodgers, because I think that is just a golden move, because like, he's capable of doing these sort of things, so he would absolutely do it. So Daragh, let me ask you, how many games do you think it would take for Aaron Rodgers to intentionally tank before they just put Jordan Love to start?
That's a tough one. I don't think there is any games. I think they would play him till the end of the season. He is on way too much of the money not to play. The media storm that would come from dropping him would be crazy. The pressure on Jordan Love would be crazy. And to be fair, when Jordan Love did come into the game, he wasn't too great on Sunday at the end of the third quarter as well. That's how bad it got. Like normally if there's like 6 or 7 minutes left in the game, you can be like, okay, now we'll get into, now we'll throw the rookie or the second choice in. You've had enough there, Aaron. But 2 minutes left in the third quarter, so they had to play the whole fourth quarter. But I think by halftime, I think the Packers offense had only run about 12 plays. So Rodgers wasn't even able to really warm up throughout that game. Like the Saints just kept the ball for so long and wound the clock down for so long as well that, look, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is finished. Like he's playing Detroit on Monday Night Football this week. You saw what the 49ers could do to them. Putting up, I think it was 41 points it was in the end that they put up against them, and that was with Jimmy G. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have an okay game on Monday against Dan Campbell's Lions. I don't care how many knees that Dan Campbell tries to bite. I don't think that Rodgers is going to struggle like he did on Sunday, but it's just a bit of an eye-opener. And the jokes being made, I caught a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show that he does every week, and they joked about the fact that the last time a team lost 38-3 to the Saints went on to win the Super Bowl, and that was Tampa Bay last season. So it's not the end of the world. It is a tough loss. I think the surprising aspect and the of it was definitely the biggest factor, but yeah, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers finished, and I think he'll get back to his usual self in the next game starting Monday. What do you think?
He definitely will. I think we're all overreacting. We all take the fun out of it, because at the end of the day, it is week one. You're talking about an MVP, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, probably one of the greatest in a long time to be able to do it. He's not going to be spending 17 weeks dropping the 2 interceptions every week. He certainly won't. He played bad last time he was in Florida. He played bad last time he was in Florida before that. So maybe he just doesn't like the humidity in Florida. I don't know, but
then he won't be doing a Tom Brady and then moving to Tampa then to finish his career if he leaves Green Bay next year.
You'll probably go to Denver or something like that, somewhere nice and warm and cozy. But it was funny. I did notice after the game, I had Devontae Adams in one of my leagues, and I was getting real low ball offers on Devontae Adams there, because they just assume, like, if you come to me at the wrong time, maybe you get it. But that was funny. So.
No, I had Devontae Adams in one of my leagues as well, and I wasn't getting any offers for him. I'd reject him straight away, and I have Aaron Rodgers in another league, and the same thing. I'm going to keep him there. I'm going to keep him in the team. He is going to come good eventually. So Green Bay fans who are worried, rest easy, and sort of other fans, especially in the NFC North, who were looking at and maybe pointing and laughing, just be careful. Just be careful. You know, he's one bad game doesn't turn Aaron Rodgers into a bad quarterback.
The guy that sent me the trade request knows I'm a Giants fan and sends me a trade request for Saquon, for Devontae. I mean, I'm not dropping a top 3 wide receiver for like a 15th fancy running back coming off an ACL tear on a terrible running team.
That's it, especially when you have someone like Jason Garrett calling the plays. You'll never get anything good out of it too. So, well, look, that's a topic maybe that we can bring up on the big wheel of topics, because we're going to go back to it. Let's
hail the wheel.
If we're going to talk a little bit about some Giants football, but let's spin that wheel.
There's no Giants football on that, is there?
I don't think there is. I'm trying to keep your hopes up, Jake.
Happy days. I don't want to talk about them.
Matt rules the rest of the NFC South. So the Panthers started off with a fantastic, maybe over-exaggerating, a good 19 points to 14 win over the New York Jets in Carolina on Sunday. Sam Darnold gets his revenge on his former team, throwing for a touchdown, 50-yarder to Robbie Anderson, and running in for a rushing touchdown as well. Also, shout out to a friend of the show, Colin Thompson, who put in a pretty nice block for Sam Darnold for that 50-yard touchdown pass. So we don't worry, Colin, we're seeing you on that, and some good blocking there for sure. Keep that up now for the next couple of weeks. But the question is, with Sam Darnold under center, them getting their first win, Christian McCaffrey having a really good game on his first game back from injury. Also on the defense, Shaq Thompson having a game as well, an interception, a forced fumble, multiple breakups. Fantastic game from him too, and some really good other pieces on that with Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin as well, just to note a few. Is there an opportunity here for the Panthers this season to possibly take that second spot in the NFC South, and who knows, even possibly get a wild card spot?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I think anything's possible when you have Christian McCaffrey as your running back. I think you could put Jimmy G in quarterback for the Panthers, and you probably would have ended up with the same results as that game. I like Sam Darnold, but I don't think he was fantastic in the game as much. He did have that really nice long touchdown pass. You mentioned he had that Robbie Anderson connection, though. That was really nice to see. I'd say Jets fans are hating looking at that now, to be fair. But yeah, there's a nice chance for the Panthers to sneak in here. Will they get it? I don't think so. I feel like there's probably the Saints are probably going to sneak in instead of them, but we'll have to see about that. I don't know. There's still some suspect on that the offensive line for me on the Panthers.
Yeah, there is a few issues on the offensive line, which will have to probably be addressed at some point. I don't know if they can address it now with maybe some free agent signings. Maybe there's a trade in there somewhere, but it is. I did think that Sam Darnold played okay, like you said. He didn't pull up any trees. He wasn't absolutely fantastic, blown out of the world. But the thing is, he was consistent. He was there ticking it over. There, sort of similar to Teddy Bridgewater was in the start of his Panthers career last year. You know, ticked it over, made the right decisions, made the right throws. So just as long as he keeps doing that, and it'll be interesting to see when the first sort of, you know, adversity comes along with Darnold and the Panthers, to see if he's going to continue to make those right decisions. Like, try not to force it into like, you know, a disguised double coverage, or try to see those sort of things, and he can sort of keep doing it with that Christian McCaffrey. If he is unsure about a pass to a DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson, you know, you've always got that pass to McCaffrey there, and he will, you know, more than likely not get you 3, 4, 5 yards to help, you know, keep the game going forward. So, you know, I liked what they're and the Jets did, and I'm liking what Rule is doing. Like I said, the defense played quite well yesterday, or on Sunday, I should say. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward with the team. But Jake, is there any other points you want to make on on that game and on the Panthers, or even on the Jets before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I like the kind of game plan from Matt Rule there in that game was kind of make sure Sam doesn't make any mistakes. It was a conservative enough game plan with the odd shot thrown in there, which I like because it wasn't overly conservative and it won you the game. So there's not really much else you need to say about it. If you won the game, you won the game. On the Jet side of the ball, I thought Zach Wilson started out a little bit slow, but encouraging, I think, performance from him on a weaker Jets team. But him and Corey Davis have this really nice connection, which I really like.
Yeah, they do, which I think will continue for the rest of the season. The one thing that I don't like about the Jets offense is they have the rookie running back and the rookie quarterback combination. I don't like that with Michael Carter and Zach Wilson. I like that experience. I know they have they have Tevin Coleman there as well. So he is there too. You know, not the running back that he was with the 49ers and with the Falcons, but you know, I maybe if there was someone like Latavius Murray would have been perfect for that team, and maybe he could have ended up at that team if it wasn't for the injury issues at the Ravens and him going then to the Ravens instead. But we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully things can get better for the Jets, because you'd like to think that, and like with Robert Saleh as well in his first head coaching job, you want to hopefully see some improvements with the Jets, and we won't say now in a couple of weeks that the Jets are doing Jets things again by losing in every game. But let's get back to the wheel. I think probably we have time for maybe one more. Do you think?
I think we could fit one more wheel spin in.
I think so. One more spin on the big wheel of topics. Let's go. Here we go. There's a few interesting ones there. Is there any one that you're looking for there, Jake?
Oh, I'm liking the Falcons draft QB one.
Oh, it looks like it's going to be Fields of Dreams. Fields of Dreams. So Justin Fields made his debut on Sunday. At times, in the Chicago Bears 14-34 loss to the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football. Andy Dalton was the starter. You know, a lot of talk, and you know, we know a good few Bears fans, and we obviously we know the guys there at the Irish Bears show as well, and they've been obviously breaking down the game from last Sunday, and you know, it seemed to be a tactic that Dalton threw quickly but didn't throw far. If you know what I mean, he was sticking to those short passes to keep the chains moving, to nullify the effect of Aaron Donald, and to also maybe not get into trying to bomb it downfield and maybe cut out by the likes of Jalen Ramsey as well. So, you know, I actually didn't hate the tactic by Matt Nagy to do that, because, you know, you've got to account for these people. You can't expect an Andy Dalton to stay in the pocket for 2-3 seconds, to bomb it downfield and give Aaron Donald that time to hunt you down, because you won't make the pass. On the opposite side of things, though, as well, when you saw Justin Fields come into the game, you saw that sort of little bit of hesitancy from the Rams defensive line, and maybe from the linebackers especially, because he's got the legs to go. If he has the legs to run as well as pass, and you know, the Rams defense know that Andy Dalton's not going to run. Even for the rushing touchdown for Fields, you could see that just the read option and using the legs is definitely a weapon that the Bears have to explore more. And you know, I know that the Bears fans want Nagy to use Fields straight away, but you know, he watched Patrick Mahomes sit a year in Kansas City behind Alex Smith, so he could get used to being in the NFL surroundings. And obviously, look, we see where Patrick Mahomes is now, and you know, that's it. I think in this sort of thing, I think patience is a little bit of a virtue here, Jake. That I think if you wait and allow Justin Fields to get comfortable, his time will come, and it could possibly be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few thoughts. You mentioned that Andy Dalton really didn't throw it down the field much. I did listen to another podcast, I think it was the MMQB, and they mentioned that of the amount of times that Andy Dalton threw 20 yards or greater was, I I think it was 0. He didn't hit a pass like that over 20 yards. I mean, I can understand the conservativeness of Matt Nagy facing that such an elite defense like the Rams. But again, if you have such a highly drafted quarterback like Justin Fields behind Andy Dalton, why are you playing conservative? If you want to win the game, you don't want to be conservative playing against a team that, like, I mean, it has firepower on the offense and defense. So I'm not a fan of the conservative game. I'm not a fan of sitting Fields. I think if you draft him that high only to sitting behind an average quarterback, I think that doesn't make sense. He's probably better than Andy Dalton. Get him in, get his lumps, make him learn. You're going to have a losing season anyway, really, if you're the Bears. So you may as well get him in early, get him used to the speed. I mean, he's going to get hit by Aaron Donald. So yeah, just get him hit now rather than later.
Well, I think the preseason game against the Bills and that hit he took where his helmet went flying, I think that was maybe a little bit of a like, we've got to maybe protect him a little more. Maybe don't just throw him out there, because let's be real, that offensive line for the Bears is not great. You had 37-year-old Jason Peters there playing left tackle, who had to leave the game as well. So they were down to their third string left tackle at some point during the game. And if you had Justin Fields in there, Aaron Donald was purposely putting himself on the right side of that defensive line so he could get at him. So I think it was the right decision by Nagy. Look, they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals this Sunday, so possibly we might see a little bit more Fields. But they're saying that the Bengals defensive line was quite good against the Vikings last week too, but also the Vikings have a questionable offensive line as well. So it is interesting. We'll have to see what happens there. I am more on the side of letting Fields sit for a little longer. Give it to maybe halfway through the year. Keep doing these where and it seems as though not a lot of the teams, sorry, I should say, them and the 49ers are sort of doing the same thing for selected plays. We're bringing in the rookie, we're bringing in the Trey Lance, we're bringing in Justin Fields, and we'll see what happens there. So I like the idea of doing that. You know, you give them a taste, and you don't put all the pressure on them. I think that'll be the good thing to go with forwards with Chicago.
What I like about putting them in, the rookie quarterbacks, for just one or two plays a game or whatever it is, it gives the defensive coordinator of the team next week, what are they going to do package-wise for this rookie quarterback? Obviously, Justin Fields plays a different game than Andy Dalton. Same with Trey Lance. I mean, it gives you this like second doubt. What are they going to do? Because then you're going to rely heavily on what you've seen, and then they're just going to go the other side. They're going to hit somebody else and you're going to be double coverage on one guy or something like that. That's what I like about putting the rookie guys in for that kind of shorter, like just one or two plays a game. I would like to see Justin Fields start way earlier than halfway through the season. I want him probably in there week 4, maybe week 5, but I just don't see the benefit of starting Andy Dalton over Justin Fields. If you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton, why are you going to start him over Justin Fields?
Yeah, well, maybe they believe that with Andy Dalton, they can get that playoff spot, that wild card spot. And I think while they're still in the conversation for that, they will keep starting Andy Dalton. And I think when that situation is out of their hands, then you sort of really have no excuse to not start Justin Fields.
Yeah, okay, that's understandable. I get that, but I still think just like you're not, even if you get the playoffs, like it would take some Nick Foles good big dick energy to make you to the Super Bowl, and I just don't see Andy Dalton there.
Yeah, but I don't think maybe the Bears organization truly believe that they are a Super Bowl team, and I think it would be a little naive for them to actually believe that they are too. So they are a borderline playoff team. So if they can't, that's their goal, and if they're hitting their goal with Andy Dalton as a starter, then look, keep it going. See what happens in the future with that, because they still have to build up that roster. They still have to beef up that offensive line. They still have to look at their defense instead, because I think it was Eddie Jackson had a really, really poor game on Sunday, so he'll have to sort of, he is meant to be the anchor there with the defensive back, so he's meant to be the main guy. So we'll have to see what happens there with him too. So any other things to note from that game on Sunday? Matt Stafford looked pretty good in his debut for the Rams.
Yeah, two things. For totally unrelated reasons, I would like the Bears to go 0-17 this year, and that's nothing to do with any future picks that the Giants have that the Bears have given them. My other point is you can see the clear difference on the Rams side now that they have a competent quarterback that you don't have to worry about once the 15-second mark cuts off on that timer when your microphone cuts out. Sean McVay no longer has to worry about the defense changing up the look and Jared Goff going, what do I do now? And throwing the same pass to the defensive player there. So you could see that he trusts Matt Stafford because he's seen a lot of looks. He's been in the league a long time. So it certainly makes the Rams a much more potent offensive team.
Yeah. I'll hold judgment before I decide whether or not Matt Stafford is the savior of the Rams.
Well, maybe not the savior, but he's a good step above Jared Goff, and you can't lie about that.
He is, but I don't know. I think it was a game that was perfect for him to play in because there was no sort of, how could you say it? Like, it was just there. Everything was just open for him. He threw it to one person, and the Bears couldn't make a tackle to save their lives on Sunday. So I think, his yards sort of looked better through, a lot of, yards after catch. So look, we'll see going forward with Stafford. I'll like I said, I'm holding off judgment. We'll see. Let's see when he gets to play a decent opponent with proper like playoff Super Bowl aspirations to see if he can still play as well as he did on Sunday. But nonetheless, he did play very well, and I want to make sure that I give him props for that. But Jake, before we go, I'm going to pick out a topic that I know it's on the wheel. We haven't gotten to it, but I think we should talk about it because we talked about it before, and that was the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Falcons lost badly. Now, I did have them to lose on Sunday. I actually did think the Eagles were going to play well, which they did, to be fair. I think Jalen Hurts played very well. So did all the offense, to be fair. But that Falcons offense was awful. Absolutely awful. And Matt Ryan was terrible as well. And, their first round pick, Kyle Pitts, I think he had 37 yards in total. He was not used at all, and he was not effective at all. And, it's like I said at the start of the show, it's something you've talked about before. This team should have been dismantled from the bottom all the way to the top, starting with the quarterback. They got rid of the big contract in Julio Jones. They're moving on as Calvin Ridley is going to be the main guy, which is a good thing. I think Calvin Ridley is a star, and I think he's going to be a really good receiver. But Matt Ryan, he really struggled on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I did say it before, that team is just bloated and it's just not going to go anywhere. What you're going to do now is you're going to have to hope that you get a low enough pick next year that you can go for a quarterback class, which by all accounts is a really weak quarterback class. And we already know the Giants are probably going to be in play for it, and certainly other teams are going to be in play for a quarterback. So you're going to have to see if you're the worst team to try and get him. And they're going to, I can't see them playing Matt Ryan for another year, and they shouldn't. They should have, as I said, blown up every kind of valuable asset on that team, gotten picks, trying to get a quarterback this year. And, well, I mean, they could have taken any one of Kyle Pitts or Mac Jones, or not Kyle Pitts, Justin Fields or Mac Jones at number 4. But, I mean, what are they going to do now? They're going to suck offensively because the quarterback's not great. The offensive line isn't great, and the running backs aren't great. So they're relying on one wide receiver plus a tight end who hasn't started off very strongly. I don't know. It's just you're going to be in that. Maybe they squeak out 4 or 5 wins this year, maybe 6, and that puts you in the probably 10 pick range, or the something like that, 8 to 10 pick range. Are you really going to get a quarterback and a weak quarterback at 8 to 10? They're probably going to have to sell the house at that point. So they're probably just going to go on that carousel of having a good enough quarterback to get you a few wins, but not good enough to get you all the way to the Super Bowl again.
Well, that's it. And if it's not in the draft, it's going to be through free agency. But, there's a reason why quarterbacks go on the free agency market. And it's not because they're fantastic and they just wanted the change of scenery. So I think they really missed a chance. Like you're saying, this quarterback, quarterback carousel that we spoke of, that they could be going from a new one every year because it's not quite fit. Quarterback class coming in the new draft, like you said, I'll take your word for it because I haven't followed it as much, as not as good as this year's, where they could have had a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones. So, it could be some dark days ahead for Falcon fans, and it could be a tough couple of years with just this decision. And it shouldn't be on Kyle Pitts because he doesn't choose who drafts him. So it's interesting. I hope he still does have a good career because he was fantastic with the Gators, and I think he is going to be a really, really good tight end, and I hope it's with Atlanta, but it's going to be a tough couple of years down there now if the season continues as how it has started.
The problem with picking Kyle Pitts like that and now having a weak team is now you're probably talking 2 to 3 years before you're kind of good enough to be in contention again for a playoff spot. And then by then you're coming up to his contract. You're going to have to pay him big money if he performs well. It's kind of similar to Saquon Barkley, picking him at 2 while you have no quarterback, no offensive line. It's just like you're going to have to pay him big money, and then you're going to hamstring your team. But I mean, pay Saquon.
Well, look, that's it. And if you can, well, I don't know. Like it's interesting. But we'll pivot over quickly to it because, I kind of have not a hot take, but I have a different probably take to you would have maybe with the Giants and their issues, because like you're saying, Daniel Jones is probably not the guy, but I'd look deeper into that, and I would say it's Jason Garrett that has to take a big brunt of this.
I'm in complete agreement with you. I think, Daniel Jones, I think he's good. He's good. Maybe he's not the best, but he certainly is a lot better than Jason Garrett makes him out to be. There's no creativeness in any of that game plan. It's all sticks. It's all nothing. There's no kind of cool new tricks that a lot of the younger offensive coordinators are getting into. And there's guys, you seen the Broncos. I don't know if you watched that match, but Teddy Bridgewater had every wide receiver 5-yard separation, and that's not just due to how good, and they are good, but it's due to scheme. And if you have a better coordinator, and the problem is they're not going to fire Jason Garrett in the season because they're never going to install a new offensive system during season. So we're kind of stuck until the end of the year with Jason Garrett.
Yeah, and I still, it is still a crazy decision to install him because Gettleman had first-hand look at how bad he had gotten with the Cowboys, and he still decided, that guy Garrett, I love the way he claps his hands, man. I think he really gets the best out of his team when he claps his hands.
Two things Jason Garrett does well is chew gum and clap hands.
Yeah. So again, we talked about how it could be a tough year for the Falcons. It could be a tough year for the Giants, but it shouldn't be a tough year for the Giants with the talent that you guys have, especially on the offense with Golladay, Shepard, Barkley coming back. Okay, there's still some questions over how effective he'll be coming off the knee injury, but he still is a good running back to have. And on that defense as well, you got so many stars on that defense that, it shouldn't be as difficult as it was on Sunday. It was a pretty low quality in general. There wasn't a lot of I'll be honest, I wasn't watching the game live. I was on Red Zone, so it was transferring over to, and because in the late games there's less late games, they have to show more of games that they probably wouldn't want to, and that was probably the Giants game. They had to show more of the Giants game than they would have liked. But it looked like it was just tough for the Giants to get anything going at all. And when they did, if it was a drop pass, it was Daniel Jones fumbling again. Everything seemed to just go against them on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean the defense didn't have a good performance, and if like last year, the Giants' defense was, I mean, top 10 at least, maybe if not higher, top 8 maybe defense, and they regressed. Maybe it's just the first game, maybe it's just kind of all these new things they weren't sure or whatever. But there was just like Logan Ryan, the defensive back for the Giants, caused the fumble, picked it up, and we end up at our 3-yard line or something like that. And the preceding 3 plays were a run up the middle with Saquon Barkley for 2 yards, a pass to the flat with a fullback for 2 yards, or incompletion even, and a pass to the flat on the other side to a tight end, which gained 2 yards, and then you're on a punt. So, I mean, it was just, I don't understand the game plan. I don't understand the plays being called offensively. There's just no, it's not doing anyone any favors. So, I mean, I'm hoping somebody makes a change offensively, at least to make some more creative plays, or creative play calling might even get me a bit more excited.
Yeah. And look, maybe we might get some more creative plays when the likes of Kadarius Toney comes into that offense, because he still has to come into it, and there is a lot of hype behind him to see what he can do.
The problem with Kadarius Toney is he had 2 plays on the Sunday, and they're not really using him as a wide receiver quite yet. His route running isn't great by all accounts, but they're using him in that kind of Tavon Austin jet sweep type gadget-y play at the minute, because he's fast, he's elusive, and he has a good bit of agility. But the problem there is, if he's on 2 plays in a game, it's going to be like a gadget sweep, jet sweep type thing, because he's not out there running routes. So when he comes into the game, he's just going to do a jet sweep or something like that. So unless they plan to give him this jet sweep where it's a double reverse jet sweep to somebody else, maybe, but it's so telegraphed. His first jet sweep, I think, went for -5 yards or something like that. So certainly not good.
No, not good. But look, that's the beauty of football. You got the next week to get it right, and for the Giants, they got the short week to get it right now as well. So a bit less time to work on the field than they probably would have liked ahead of the game on Thursday against Washington. But I think that's a good point to end this show. Before we go, if you haven't already, make sure you are following us on our socials. We are on Twitter at @UnderCenterPod, Instagram the exact same at @UnderCenterPod. You can watch the shows on YouTube. Just search Undercenter Podcast on YouTube. We release the audio versions of these shows too, if you prefer to listen to us on the go. Just search Undercenter Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and you will find us there. We will be back again tomorrow with a preview show for the Thursday night game between the Giants and the Washington football team. We might have Fionn back in time if we can resolve his contract, but we are also hoping to have Jerry Foley from the Giants Insider newsletter on the show as well, to talk to us for a little bit to preview the game. So, Jake, I guess, I'm going to be outnumbered possibly with Giants fans.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Jerry's a real cool guy. I'm looking forward to talking some Giants football with him. Also kind of not looking forward to talking about Giants football. So we will have to see how that goes. The only thing I have going for me is my hopes that we beat the Washington football team, so I can rub it in Fionn's face.
Well, this is it. This is the first of your pitcher bets as well.
Yep, this is the important part, because I do have them to sweep the football team. Daniel Jones has 4-0 against the football team. So I'm hoping precedent strikes and we just keep going. We get our first win of the season. I get to keep my hopes alive for just 1 week extra.
That's it. And you won't have to fork out a pitcher until when Fionn eventually returns back to the show. Maybe if Washington do win, that's the catalyst to get him back. But look, we'll find out tomorrow anyway. But guys, that is it for this edition of the show. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back again tomorrow with a preview of the Thursday night football game. But until then, stay safe and we'll see you soon.